A piece of Oregon's Highway 101 just broke off and fell into the Pacific Ocean. Not during a hurricane, not during an earthquake. On a calm morning, with no warning, the road simply gave way, and the ocean swallowed it whole. This is not a pothole problem. This is not a budget problem. What is happening right now along Oregon's 200-mile coastal highway is something engineers are calling almost impossible to stop. The Pacific Ocean is eating the ground beneath the road, and it has been for years. Quietly, relentlessly. And now it's winning. But here's what nobody is talking about. The sections that already collapsed, they're not the ones scientists are most afraid of. There are stretches of Highway 101 right now, stretches where thousands of people drive every single day, sitting on cliffs that have already lost most of their foundation. The road looks fine from above. Underneath, it's already gone. So the question isn't whether Oregon loses more of Highway 101 to the Pacific. The question is, how much is already too late to save? The Oregon Coast Highway has another name that locals use. They call it the People's Highway. When construction crews finished carving it into the cliffs and dunes of the Oregon coastline in the 1930s, it was considered one of the greatest engineering achievements in American history. Not because of its size, because of where it was built. Right on the edge of the continent, hugging some of the most dramatic, dangerous, and breathtaking coastline on Earth. For nearly a century, Highway 101 has been the backbone of coastal Oregon. All 200 miles of it. From the Columbia River in the north to the California border in the south, it threads through fishing towns, tourist villages, state parks, and communities where the highway isn't just the main road. It is the only road. Places like Gold Beach, Yakuts, Rockaway Beach, and Cannon Beach don't have alternate routes. They have Highway 101, and they have the Pacific Ocean. That's it. The economic reality is staggering. Oregon's coastal tourism generates $1.8 billion every single year, and virtually all of it moves on Highway 101. Fishing fleets depend on it to get their catch to market. Supply trucks depend on it to keep grocery stores stocked. Ambulances and fire departments depend on it to save lives. If Highway 101 closes, coastal Oregon doesn't slow down. It stops. And that's exactly what makes what's happening right now so terrifying. Because here is the cruel irony at the heart of this story. Highway 101 was built on the Oregon coast because of its beauty. Engineers in the 1930s followed the coastline as closely as possible, hugging the cliff edges, running the road right along the ocean's shoulder, because that's what made it spectacular. That's what made it the People's Highway. But that same decision, made 90 years ago, is exactly why the road is now in danger. They built it in the most beautiful place on the Oregon coast. They also built it in the most vulnerable. For decades, the warning signs were easy to dismiss. A small slide here, a cracked guardrail there. Emergency crews would show up, patch the damage, and move on. State transportation officials would file the reports and move on. Drivers would slow down briefly and move on. Nobody wanted to ask the harder question underneath all those patches and quick fixes. What if the damage isn't something you can patch? What if every repair is just buying a little more time before the ocean collects what it's owed? The cracks were never the problem. They were just the coast's way of sending a warning that almost everyone chose to ignore. Most people picture coastal erosion as something slow, something gradual, a process measured in centuries, not years, something so patient and so incremental that entire generations could live and die on a coastline before noticing any meaningful change. That picture is wrong. And along Oregon's Highway 101, it is dangerously wrong. Here is what is actually happening. Pacific waves don't just wash over the beach and retreat. They slam into the base of coastal cliffs with thousands of pounds of force per square foot, carving out the rock and soil from underneath. The cliff face above stays standing for a while, held up by nothing but its own weight. until one day